So 86% of renters say they can't afford to buy a home, with the majority saying they'll never afford one. This actually made me
crazy.
Sad to read this. That my first emotional reaction was, this is sad.
Yeah.
Majority of current renters report they can't afford to buy a home, per a new CNN poll.
Yeah.
What's automatically challenging about that is like rent is so high and mortgage is so high. So if you're paying rent, you can pay a mortgage, which was something we talked about last week, which is there's way more people that can actually mathematically afford a mortgage than think they can.
Exactly.
That are already paying rent. So then now to see majority of current renters report they can't afford to buy a home, it's like, is that just the way they feel?
Yeah.
Or that they actually can't? So with over half Americans saying that they're pessimistic about ever achieving their goal of homeownership, people are saying I can't afford and I'm just dealing with it. That is a bummer.
Yeah.
So this survey memo said CNN study found 86% of current renters in the United States can't afford to buy a home, as one hallmark of the American dream drifts increasingly out of reach for thousands of families.
Yeah. And I mean, hey, I don't want to say it, but I got to say it. But thanks to our Vanguards, our Black Rocks, they practically own everything, right? They're practically owning everything. And why are they doing that, Andy? Why is it worth it for them? You know, our problem is a shortage of homes, right? But if we got builders and everybody to start building, what would happen to our housing? The prices, everything will start leveling off, right?
Yeah.
That's what we can see. But why aren't they? Because you're incentivized as a builder. Well, hey, I'm going to build it. I'm going to make good money off on this. Vanguards on them. This is how they make their money.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, we can totally go down the rabbit hole of
exactly.
all that stuff. And I'm not saying we shouldn't talk about it right now, but I agree with you. I know that that's happening. We've talked about corporate ownership at the corporate ownership level for a long time, or many different cases without really going hard on it. But the deal is that they have been scooping up properties out of the hands of people who are willing buyers and can, and it has created discouragement among people.
Of course. And it makes it a renter's nation. Like, hey, you know what? Just rent. Can't afford a home? Stay here. We'll build for you to rent.
Yeah.
You know, we'll take advantage of that.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate.
Because they know people have to have a place to live.
Yeah.
And that place to live is going to cost you money. Oh, well, you might as well be paying me versus me just watching other people make the money. That's not how these guys roll. So they're playing this like ultimate game of Hungry Hippos. Like, oh, there's 1 million homes for sale. I want as many as I can get. I want to control and have ownership of as many as I can. On the advocacy side of owning investment real estate, we talk to people about that a lot at the personal level. Like, yeah, you should want that. I think there's a big contrast between us telling that to individuals who might own 2 or 3 in their lifetime versus a conglomerate that owns tens of thousands and creates a whole different economic situation.
But I guess there's going to be a no rent control, rule coming into place. We'll see how that works out too, right? It's if you own 50 units or more, so we'll see.
I saw that. I didn't make a pit stop and read about it because I'm like, you know what? I think that's for another day.
Yeah.
But I think you're also onto something because there will have to be some sort of controls in place at that level, because that's also been a problem too when it comes to what they call slumlording.
Yeah.
So that's not like that goes away just because a rule changes. They're going to have to do something else policy-wise. So we're looking at pessimism. It feels out of reach for people. I'm just going to read this part because I don't even know who this guy is, but I was like, want to give him a hug. Jeremy Anderson, I feel you, dude. We have given up on home ownership. At first, I wondered if I was a failure as a father or husband because I can't get my kids a lawn to play on. It's taken a lot of soul searching to understand this is not my fault. It's the fault of a poorly planned system.
Jeez.
Woo! I was like, damn, that's
Are
tough.
we done?
That's hard. But it is. And there's how many Jeremy Andersons are there out there? There's thousands of people who feel this way. And I'm sympathetic to that. I really am. I know that I have a lot of takes on this show that are very bold, and I'm very vocal and loud about certain things I believe and I opine on economically, but this thing hurts, man. Yeah. There's so many people we've watched achieve the joy and the milestone of home ownership. The first person in their family to own a home. Yeah. They finally get out of a bad neighborhood into a nice neighborhood where the kids can go play on the lawn. Like, when I read that, been prepped for today's show, I'm like thinking of dozens of people we know that we've helped get that. And here's this guy that, like, I want him to come in and talk to you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't mean that like sales. I'm saying, like, I want those people to come and talk to you.
He's probably living in New York, though.
Whatever. You could be living in
downtown
Paris, France, or more, whatever. My point is, like, I know people are discouraged. I know they're sad. I know they're frustrated. If you can get off of that for a minute and have a conversation, please do it. Yeah. If you're even just questioning whether you should or maybe you still can or can't, like at least ask the question. Come ask Will the question. Ask Brian the question.
Yeah, any of us. Hey, if you have any family members that want to go in there and just be co-signers, we can figure it all out.
Well, and 86% of them people surveyed saying this, and then there's this one guy who has like these quotes that are just like heart wrenching.
Yeah.
And there's knowing that there's thousands or tens of thousands of people that feel the same way. It's really tough. This is going to be an uphill climb for whoever the new administration is.
Yeah. They just feel like the American dream is out of reach now.
Yeah. Well, and then I think maybe callously some of the things we started to see in social media specifically, is that the American dream has changed. The American dream is now time freedom and flexibility to go wherever I want. And that's partially true, I think, more generationally, like Brian's generation, like, I want flexibility of time and choice, and I want to go. I don't want to be anchored down to anything.
Yeah.
But then you got these guys like Jeremy who are like, no, I want that still.
I want anchor.
I want that previous American dream, if you will. So I don't think the definition of American dream is changing, because for these guys, it's not.
But it is becoming more difficult. I always keep saying this, with the kids, my kids, it's going to be more difficult for them to finance a home later, in a few more years. It's going to change.
So can I say something there, please? Because I think that you've done a really great job at leading from the front in this, and creating that legacy where like each of your sons are going to be able to have a house, buy a house, and that's something I would say to people like Jeremy in this article. It's like, if you want your son or daughter to also do that, go do that. Like figure out a way to go do that for them, and you can leave that for them. Yeah. So I commend you for doing that. I know.
Yeah, thank you.
It hasn't been easy, and a lot of people
never is.
Even though we have like a small channel, people, I know the sentiment still is like, oh, well, look at these guys with their office and the studio. And we still all came from nothing. We came from places where we didn't have the things we have now. And our effort, hard work, and outcomes have brought us to a place like this. Much like other people that you're seeing have studios and shows and whatever, like they all started from little to nothing.
Yeah. Everything comes, everything comes at a price, at a sacrifice.
It's not an impossible scenario. No. So my heart goes out to people who are feeling that way. Yeah. And my encouragement is, please try to take a second, or even if it's a third or fourth look at getting yourself into affordability or qualifying to buy a house.
Yeah, just take action like anything else.